Greetings, this is Helevon, and today I chose to analyze a song by the British Gothic and black metal band Cradle of Filth, which I'm going to do time and time again, because Cradle of Filth is a band of concept, of musical and lyrical complexity, and their singer Danny Filth is a brilliant lyricist, and we're here for the lyrics. So, the song which I'm going to discuss today is called A Gothic Romance, and it is from their album Dusk and Her Embrace from 1996. As its title suggests, the song presents a Gothic love story, and it is perhaps one of their songs most representative of the band's inspiration from 19th century literature, Gothic literature. Unlike many Cradle of Filth songs, which play with tropes and perspectives and words in order to subvert the listener's expectations, this song is almost a pastiche, meaning that it imitates in style and tone and language 19th century fiction. So let's listen, and I'm going to pause whenever I have a relevant comment to make. But given the richness of Cradle of Filth's lyrics, this may be quite often. The Gothic is fascinated with strange places set at the limit between the past and the present, the natural and the supernatural, beauty and terror. And a castle, which is large and mysterious and Gothic and a remnant from the medieval past, and often set in a remote place, is the perfect scene for a Gothic encounter. A masquerade ball enhances the idea of mystery and the unknowable, while the lowering of the mask suggests the promise of intimacy. Under the mask there is, of course, a beautiful woman which exudes sensuality, infusing the air with desire, says the narrator. We already see that the female character is a seductress. She has a feline lure, and her eyes are wild like the woodlands, giving the narrator erotic thoughts. So she lures him out of the relative safety of the castle and into the bloodletting night, which is an omen of suffering. The seductress in Gothic key is a force of evil, because in the Gothic, women are generally, usually either Madonnas or whores. And Cradle of Filth often reverses these symbols, but here it's quite self-explanatory and quite the Gothic trope. So we can all tell that this is not going to end well for our amorous protagonists. And this is also very beautifully suggested by the wordplay fall from grace and fall in love, showing that love is harmful, that contradiction of the Gothic pain and pleasure. The narrator is here under an enchantment. He's losing control. The image of Acheron is again an omen of death. Acheron is a river which in Greek mythology springs from the underworld. And took me here could refer to him being kidnapped, lured away physically, or captivated as if by magic, so enchanted, or it can also be understood as a sexual euphemism. So we assume that there was a moment of intimacy between them. Ligeia is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe, a master of terror, master of the Gothic, about a woman who dies and then is reborn by possessing the corpse of her lover's new wife. So she's basically undead. Here it is the narrator who is compared to Ligeia, and his sleep is compared to a grave, the sleep sepulchre, suggesting that he is already doomed, already going towards his grave. So the narrator awakens away from the castle, somewhere between statues, probably in a graveyard, as we will see further on, and he is alone. The mysterious woman is now gone without a trace. He hasn't had enough of her, so he is still full of passion and overwhelmed, wanting to go back to their moment of intimacy, to the past overtures. So he goes out to look for her, and we have here several metaphors for obsession and loss of control caused by love, which is a very Gothic concept, the obsessive love. We have drunk, blind acolyte, hunger, curse of unrest, carnal abyss, and of course that, which is basically a definition of Gothic love, bewildered and weak, yet with passion replete. So we have passion, we have weakness, and we have all. Not a good move. Of course, the cemetery provides shelter from the storm, but otherwise little comfort, because he has dreams which turn to nightmares. So these nightmares are actually revelations, because finally in the nightmares he understands who the mysterious woman is, and he calls her Mistress of the Dark. Lamia is, in Greek mythology, a vampire-like creature with the body of a woman who preys on humans and drinks their blood. And the Lemures, as they appear also in the writings of Ovid and Horace, are spirits of the malignant dead in ancient Roman mythology. So the mysterious woman embodies these two types of creatures, suggesting that she is a woman, she preys on humans and feeds on their life force. So this is exactly what has happened to our narrator under the mask of an erotic escapade. Portrait of the Dead Countess is also a later song by Cradle of Filth, and it refers to the historical or semi-legendary figure of Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian noblewoman from the Middle Ages, also called the Blood Countess, which was said to have bathed in the blood of virgins in order to stay young. So this is another image of the dangerous and destructive female force, like the Lamia. So while he becomes weaker and weaker, because his life is dripping out of him, the narrator has visions of the seductress, and he realizes that all the men who fell for her before were drawn to their death. They are now ghost companies who mourn the loss of God. So it is not only physical death, but also the loss of their souls and the loss of God, which is something worse than death in Gothic key. Fleeting and shadowed, thou art privy to my sin. So only when he is almost dead, when he has sacrificed life, which is his most treasured possession, he can see her for who she really is. And we see here this breathtaking monologue spoken by the mysterious woman herself. So like in any sacrificial ritual, the worshipper needs to make an offering to the deity, and they have to offer something important for them in order to receive the god's blessing, or in this case, a revelation. So here she asks to be worshipped with blood, with crimson sacrifice. This very explicit image of a sexual act shows the rapport of power between the two, because here the woman is the one who is worshipped, who has the upper hand, who is the master or the mistress, and the man is the one giving her pleasure. Another identification for the woman, the devil's whore. As we've seen, these terms like libertine and debauched and seductress, and here the term whore, are used devoid of a censoring moral judgment. They are used to denote a self-willed woman in charge of her sexuality. So for Cradle of Filth, the whore is the biblical Jezebel, which is a concept in Christian lore, a symbol for female authority, promiscuity, and manipulation. She is the pagan queen who challenges the dominant culture. So for Cradle of Filth, the whore is a symbol that appears in a lot of their songs, a symbol of what society vilifies and marginalizes. So the term is sort of glorified as a transgressor of a corrupt and ignorant society which is fearful of female influence. Need fires in Indo-European folklore are fires built to ward off evil spirits and or diseases. So here it can suggest his cry for help, his weakness, his neediness, which has in fact drawn even towards him. The open veins, of course, suggest his loss of life through love, the lips I cherish most. So he's now slowly losing his life and sanity, and perhaps in hallucination, the woman appears to him again as a blood-drinking monster like Elizabeth Bathory or the Lamia. So he loved her, he wanted her lips on him, but this is not exactly what he has imagined. So it was his trust and blind desire that made him vulnerable to her. So he's perfidious. So Naima is a female demon, in Jewish myths a descendant of Cain, while seraphim are angels in the same ancient Judaism. Also, we see here again that kind of Gothic contradiction, angels and demons, like the contrasts pain and pleasure, sacred and profane. So he can stand these visions no longer, but he finally realizes that the woman who has visited him is in fact death incarnate. The realization comes quite late because his heart is bloodless, right? He is dying. So I said earlier that the song feels like a pastiche, but then we have this bold and explicit metaphor, vulvic revelry, which suggests that to the male victim, the most effective temptation is female sexuality. This is one vehicle through which he can be made to lose his soul. So before we learn that she is deaf, and now he wonders whether she is in fact the Queen of Heaven. Of course, this term is generally used to refer to the Virgin Mary, but it is clear that she is not the Virgin Mary because she is sexual and she is manipulative and deceitful. So, Queen of Heaven could refer to the highest female divinity regardless of religion, but in ancient Semitic religion, the Queen of Heaven is Asherah, who is assumed to have been a consort of Yahweh, and temples and festivals and figurines were dedicated to her, and she is called there the Queen of Heaven. In ancient Egyptian belief, she is referred to as Astarte or Hathor. It's good to note here that the Cradle of Filth worships only female deities. It is a symbol of the ancient pagan goddess come to dethrone Christianity and take back her rightful place. So we see here that it is now mere autumn night, but it is All Hallows Eve, Halloween night, and Horned Diana refers to the moon, as Diana is the ancient Roman goddess of the moon. So the lover who thinks that he has found a lovely tryst for the night ends up enrobed in death's shadow, just like those ghost companies, those shadowy figures from the graveyard which he was observing before. So this was my analysis. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel and comment, and join me again when I will analyze other metal songs. Goodbye.